Okay, so there are different parts for this experiment to set up, and these parts are here, the power supply, where the electricity comes for the light intensity. Then here we have the frequency generator, so here we have a few knots to control what stimulation rate, so the frequency, the delay, the duration of each pulse, and yeah, how many volts, which can be ignored. So these three are important. So what we are going to do in the first instance is actually to measure the light intensity, because we need to set the light intensity like around 2000 lux. And for this, for knowing how much intensity we need, we have a lux meter, which is here, and it measures in the white area. So for doing this, what we need is first turn this on, touching this button, so that the so to say the electricity comes there to turn on the lights. LEDs are here with cooling plates, so that the LEDs don't get too warm, because they are high intensity LEDs. So this is aluminium to cool down the LEDs. And then here is where we can control now the different aspects of the lights. And so for turning it on, we have this notch here, which we have to turn on, and then this one is also turned on. So now we see that it's being pulsed. What we need is to switch this one down from pulses to DC, so that we have it an intensity that is constant. Once we have it constant, we can now measure the light intensity. For this, ideally, now for these demonstration purposes, I'm not going to turn the light off of the room, but you should do it so that the light in the room doesn't interfere with the frequency here.
And there's no need of calibrating it either, I guess.
No, the calibration is already there.
Yeah.
And normally you only have to play with the range button.
Yeah.
One thing, be careful of watching too much of light exposure, because it's actually a kind of blinding. So you will see that you always have to play with the range button, because when you see that the lines are on the top, it means that it's out of range on the above side. So if you press the range button, it will adapt to the range of the light. So you might have to do it several times.
Right.
And then now we see that we are in the range, because they are measuring numbers. But we also have to always watch in the upper right corner, because there it says like an X10, so that we know that this number here is multiplied by 10. So in this case we see 1200 multiplied by 10 will be 12,000 rather.
Right.
Okay, so how do we change the intensity? We just have to play around with the buttons here, and by lowering down. One has to be careful not to touch very roughly, because you can burn the LEDs if you go up too quickly. And so at some point you should see that we are more or less at 2000. Okay, as I say once again, you have to play with this button, only this button, touch these two, just a bit above or a bit below to adapt the light intensity. Okay, once we adapt this, then we need to make sure that the stimulation rate is at 20 Hertz, which we can see here, which is X10 and 2 in the wheel. Mm-hmm. So this means 20. Delay stays like this at just 1 millisecond. Then the duration of the pulse is more or less like 10 milliseconds, which means that each pulse is going to stay 10 milliseconds, and then it will dim out until the next pulse, which is going to happen 20 times a minute. Okay, so I think that's all for the setup of the lights. In case the students need to watch it, that they really remember to clean the stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, okay. Okay. Let's put some intensity, just so that when I start it looks like it's...
I'm already rolling, but yeah, that's fine.
So, yes, like this. Okay, and then it should be in pulses, which is here. Okay.
How did you come up with the it's a known protocol, I guess. I mean, which frequency and which duration and everything and which lux to use, or did you do trial and error to find the
A
button?
bit of. Well, I read the papers and then I said this is more or less a good one.
Yeah.
And then,
Right.
okay. So let's then start with the experiment. Okay. Do you start?
Yeah, it's already yeah.
Okay, so for the experiment, we have the flies. The flies are inside here. This is a mock experiment where flies are here with ATR, feeding on ATR since 2 days. And they will be tested on the T-maze. So the T-maze consists of a core, which has the elevator. So this will help us to move the flies from the upper tube to the lower tubes where they have the choice of the experiment takes place. Many of these T-mazes are loosey, so we have always a foam here to keep it up whenever we need to. And we have one transparent tube that will be always on this side where there is only one entrance, and then an opaque tube. So always the T-maze will be looking in this direction, so that when it's placed exactly in front of the LEDs. Yeah, so for the experiment. So this is the entrance tube, so this is where we will put the flies into the setup, and for that we need a funnel, so that we can now tap the flies that are in here, and by tapping them we will push all of them into the bottom, and then this will give us some time in order to put the flies in here. So I will do, as I said, the mock experiment. So you just tap it. Normally it's effective if you do it really quickly rather than strong. And then in this moment you put all the flies. So normally you have to tap so that they also fall off here, and also the tube, both of them. And once you think they are all in there, you just, with the finger, you just don't let them go out. So now all the flies are in here, and now is the moment where you put all of the flies into the elevator. Now you fix it, and now all the flies are here adapting to it.
How long do you leave it there for before you lower the elevator?
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Ideally more, of course, but for time purposes.
Let's say 2 minutes for the
Yeah.
student.
So next step is, once the flies are here and resting, you tap it again so that they all fall into the elevator, and then very quickly move it just as much as the foam lets you go, so that the elevator is at the very middle, where it doesn't match the flies here and it doesn't match here. So probably a few of the flies will stay here, so we'll just to clean it up and let the flies fly away and leave this tube clean. So now all the flies are in the middle here. So we leave it again for 30 seconds. So we normally have a timer, but otherwise you can just do it with your phone or watch. And then after these 30 seconds, you normally just place it here, and then you can already turn the lights on. Normally, remember always to switch the lights of the room off. Normally I play with this one, but for this demonstration I keep the light of the room on, so that you could see.
But there's one LED in each, so you should center it obviously as well, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So this is something that here, that's why it's all put like this.
Yeah.
Here.
Okay, there's markings on the...
Yeah, exactly. They are marking so that they are always in the same position.
Right.
Okay, now it's the light running. So now you can take the foam out so that you can push it all the way out. And then after, as I said, normally after these 30 seconds of resting, you push it all the way down. Then now they have 1 minute choice. So in this minute, flies are running back and forth to the light and to the dark. And in this time, it's expected that the flies experience the activation of the neurons whenever they enter this site, and the no activation at all when they are in the darkness.
But we shouldn't do the experimental time longer or shorter. 1 minute is enough.
Just 1 minute is what it works.
Yeah. Okay. 1 minute. Experimental time 1 minute. Okay.
Okay, let's say, imagine that after counting 1 minute, the time is over, we push it all the way up, we switch the light off for making it more comfortable, and then eventually in a real experiment, since all will be dark, you can then turn these lights on so that it will be easier for you one to work, and then you put the foam here. So now what we have is that a few flies here that have chosen to go to the light, and a few flies here that have chosen to go to the darks, and then a few flies here that have made no choice and they were at the elevator at the time where we pull up.
How many flies do you test each time?
So normally for each experiment that we put here, we put around 30 or more flies in here. So in between 30 and 40. Some of them will die and something. So and they will be jammed. So that we expect at least 20 something flies. And then now that we have all the flies here we have empty glasses where I ordered like flies in the light, flies in the dark, flies in the elevator. And so what we can do is now tap it once again, take it quickly out, and then put these flies here so that they are ready to count on the CO2. So now you put all the flies here, and now you have here all the flies that have chosen to go to the light. Now this is clean, and then we do the same with the other tubes. So these ones, the ones that didn't make any choice, now go in the middle, and always do not forget to write the genotype, depending on which genotype are you testing.
Right.
Okay, so that's basically it. And then you just count the flies and their CO2 within the patch, and then the experiment is done. Then you're ready to do the next experiment. Normally you clean with alcohol the tubes before each day, and leave some time to dry out before the experiment.
And you test the flies once?
You test the flies once.
Yeah.